were you expecting to have such a huge reaction to all of this that's been going on?
Yes, absolutely. It's been too long, and it's just what kind of reaction, positive or negative.
Right.
And for the most part, it's been very, very positive. And we have just this incredible fan base that can't be explained. It's, other bands will come and see our band and they'll be on the side stage and they just go, I don't get this. And I go, I don't either. Little bit of radio, it's just mostly word of mouth. And like I said, it's just passionate people. But I think it's a thing that we take very serious and we just put our complete hearts into. And I think that's, people see that and they appreciate that. I mean, that's what I appreciate about the arts is how far someone takes something, and you can tell you get very passionate. It's kind of compared to like, my wife's a painter and I'm an artist and on the side and knee-jerk artist. And I always compared to like kind of turn-of-the-century oil painting, which I really like a lot, John Singer Sargent and, others. And these guys, they had a trade and, there's no TV, there's no radio, and this is what they did for a living. And, they got up, they did it, they had lunch, they painted, and they went to bed. And they did this every day. So it's a trade. It's there's a lot of passion in it. And you can see in the painting the experience and how much this person's like kind of tearing themselves up inside to do something. And, I think that's what the fans get out of us. In the old days, we would, our songs were never radio friendly. So they would ask us to edit the song. So we'd edit it down to, 5 minutes or 4.5 minutes. And then we'd send it to radio and then they would edit it, what we gave them to edit. So now we just put it out and let radio do whatever they want with it because they're going to do what they want with it anyways. Oh, you needed more commercial time, but that's what pays the bills. It's just, we try to play the game, but the game is played after we're done writing, after we're done recording, and once the record's ready to put out. We try to get together and experiment and write stuff that we're proud of. And again, it's that, suffering for your art. And to me, it's a reflective process that people see that. And I think that's why our fans are so passionate, I pinch myself all the time. We were in Berlin just recently. We did a European tour. We're doing the festivals. And we're really good friends with the Rammstein guys. And Christoph, the drummer, came to our show in Berlin. And we were just talking, and, he has two boys. I have two boys, and he was looking at pictures of my kids. I have them on my road case, and he was just getting a little emotional. I go, "You were right," and he just goes, "We have great lives. We're doing what we like to do, and we have families, and we're successful." And he started crying, and then I started crying, and it was true. It's just pinching yourself, and so when the fans reach out, I try to be that guy to go, thank you, and, have something to say to them. And I just want them to know that it's huge. It's huge. Without them, there's not me. And I'm just the luckiest guy in the world, So I get that. I've, like you said, I've met people. I was like, oh, I don't listen to your music. And I don't know if I particularly like it, or what you do, but, congrats on your success.
Yes.
And I admire all you had to do to get here. I played in bands on the side and actually lived with Tom Morello when I first moved down here. Yeah, I slept on his
just
couch.
randomly, or did you know him?
Oh, no. Tom and I grew up together.
Really?
Yeah, Tom's mom was my homeroom teacher.
You're kidding me.
Mary Morello. She's the coolest lady you'd ever meet.
Wow, how interesting is that? And you get two guys who basically reshaped guitar in the 90s and 2000s.
Yeah, it's weird.
I mean, really, like, let's be honest, right?
It's weird. And Tom Morello used to, like in the 90s, say, they would say, oh, yeah, grunge from Seattle. And he goes, well, then the next big sound's from Libertyville, Illinois.
Well, he was right.
Yeah.
It's like just Slash and Flea going to the same high school, Fairfax, just down the road, like same grade. Like, what are the chances of like not just one guy, but two Hall of Famers and probably two Hall of Famers for you in Libertyville, of all places,
It's
right?
weird. And Tom, he was just very inspiring. Just, growing up, he's very animated. And I always thought he'd be like this actor. They had this band and they were terrible. They were called the Electric Sheep. But they were just, it was fun. There was no, concerns of being signed or, how important it is or is going to be playing the radio.
It's a high school band, right?
High school band. And at some point, they needed a bass player. And I had grown up playing violin.
Makes sense.
And then in high school, I started playing bass because they didn't have a bass player.
Yeah.
So I can read treble and bass clef, but I always played guitar on the side. I'm self-taught. And it's just amazing to me now how much Tom sucked at that moment when I met him and how he's just like, no one can touch him. Mm-hmm. We were both really influenced by, 80s metal and among other things. But, in 80s metal, like every guitar player after Eddie Van Halen went, oh, I've got to have some kind of gimmick.
Right.
So you had guys doing this, or you had, remember Michelangelo had, four necks. Yeah.
Yeah, but Mike, that was his gimmick, yeah.
But yeah, so he had all these guys had gimmicks, what they did, sorry, I'm just having a brain fart. Tom and I went to go see Yngwie Malmsteen.
Uh-huh.
And we drove down to Chicago, and I'll never forget it. But Billy Sheehan's band opened.
Talus.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, I love you.
Yeah.
He's, Billy's going all over his bass, and then Yngwie comes out, and he's
all over his guitar,
spinning the guitar on it. And the guy can own it. He has a gimmick, but it's his. And then at the end of the show, Billy's band comes out, and Yngwie, and they all play about 3 or 4 more songs together. So they're both going. It was just a magical night. It's very strange because I met Maynard. He moved out to LA and through mutual Libertyville friends, Tom Morello and a bunch of other people that, still all hang out together. Maynard was dating this girl from Libertyville, and that's how he and I met, and we just hit it off instantly.
Libertyville's the rock and roll center of the universe, man.
It is, and it's this underground secret. Mm-hmm. But he and I hit it off, driving around his car, listening to Metallica, and watching Italian horror movies, and
that's great.
Yeah, and
Jellö.
and he's also just this person who's very driven, and that's this thing I realized. I have always done really great things because I kind of surrounded myself with people who are motivated, people who are heroes, and I just kind of feed off that, and it makes me want to work harder and do what I do better. And Maynard's one of those people. He's just whatever he's doing, he's got to do it right. Mm-hmm. And he's got his own kind of structure. Also, I don't know if that's from the army or if that's just kind of, or something, off about his personality. But I really got off on that. And at some point, we had talked about just goofing around with music. And I had no idea he could sing. And we were friends with all the Green Jellö people. I used to help the Green Jellö people in the day, they had these costumes and they used to drive around.
Type vibe, right?
What's that?
Green Jellö, a Guar type vibe.
Yes. But more like, Saturday morning cartoons, cereal commercial.
What was their tune?
Their big hit was Three Little Pigs.
Oh yeah, Little Pig, let me in.
That's Maynard.
Oh, is it?
Top by the hair of my chin.
Really?
That's Maynard.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So he had joined that. He had met those guys through me, and I had done makeup effects for so long and worked on movies, and so I was like their hero because they were finding these, cat piss couches and taking the foam and carving the foam and making these costumes, and I was like, no, you can do a sculpture and cast it and then run up 2-part foam and paint it like this. And so at some point, Maynard and I were talking about, let's start a band. It'd be fun just to, mess around. We had some other friends, and then Maynard just slipped me this tape. And he goes, yeah, here, check this out. This is something I was doing back in Michigan. And I was like, okay. And it was a band he was in, and I put it on and my hair stood up on my arms. And I was like, oh, you can sing. Mm-hmm. Maynard, you can sing. And he knew it. He just didn't have the confidence, I think, to kind of go, yeah, I'm a good singer. So our band kind of started out like this, just for fun, just this therapy, fun band. So we started jamming, and we started trying to find people to jam with us. And in those days, it was really hard. The glam metal was kind of just at its tail end.
Just late 80s then, or?
Yeah.
89 or whatever.
Yeah. And kind of this, more like, really underground sound started coming out, which I would say is kind of grunge now. And to me, all that kind of stemmed from the Melvins. So the point was when we started Tool, we weren't trying to get signed. And it was really hard finding other people to jam with because, like I said, when you look through, I don't know in your day, but looking through, this, like the listings, it was like, oh, I'm into rad, I'm into this, I'm into that. And so it was all, we kept jamming with these guys that were very pretty, who had sprayed hair out to here and, really nice jeans tucked in cowboy boots. And
that was the big one.
And I'm not making fun of that. It's just that's the era, and it's big influence on me. But we just weren't connecting. And through Green Jellö, Maynard, they moved into this big space, and it was by where Danny Carey lived. And Danny Carey, it was a commercial space, and Danny Carey was one of the 2 drummers in Green Jellö.
Really?
Yeah, Green Jellö had 2 guitar players, 2 bass players, and 2 drummers. And then they had like 60 people in their band.
Yeah.
And just great. Maynard used to go see them. It was amazing. But anyway, long story short is we kept asking Danny to jam with us. And at that time, Dan was he was in a couple TV bands, which are bands that they'll be filming a sitcom, and the TV band will play between the shots to keep the the audience warmed up. Yeah, it's cool. Maynard and Maynard are calling me. He goes, "Hey, the drummer from Autograph is going to jam with us," and we were really excited. So we were jamming at Danny's studio, and that's where the Green Jellö people would play. And Danny let us jam there, and the guy blew us off.
Oh,
yeah, he didn't show up, and so we had been asking Dan to jam with us, and he was like, "No, I don't have time." So we're like, "Dan, come on, this guy blew us off. Just walk in the next room." He's like, "All right, I'll do it one time," And he jammed with us, and then he was like, "Hey, we should do this again," And it was just really incredible. And then we found Paul Tamor. He was a friend of mine, and he had moved down from Seattle, and he was like a really good guitar player, but he said he was just totally sick of playing guitar. He wanted to just play bass. And we're like, okay, let's jam because we need a bass player. But he kind of played the bass like a guitar, which was kind of cool, like chords. And so that's how it started. And like I said, we all had day jobs. I really enjoyed that. And then there was some point where we got signed as a band, and we laughed. We laughed so hard when we got our first record offer because we were just like, what? Because we thought, like A&R people and record people are, they're not really a lot of times have their pulse. I mean, some of them do have their pulse on what's happening, but most of them don't. It's just this business thing, and it's a lot of old guys with ponytails so it started with 1, and then it turned into 3, and then we kind of went, oh, maybe we should do this. And I think it went up to 7 or 9 because once, like a kind of a few of the major record labels were approach someone, they all get in on it.
Sure, of course, yeah.
They know someone we don't know. And so that's when we started taking it seriously and going, okay, well, let's try this, And then I don't know which movie I was working. I was working on Jurassic Park. I was sculpting dinosaurs in Jurassic Park, and I went to my bosses and my foreman, and I said, I want to go do this. And they were like, yeah, go do it, dude. You can always come back.
Right.
And then my other guys I know who were just, it's end all be all doing what they're doing. They just thought, oh yeah, go screw up your life, Adam.
Mr.
And,
Rockstar.
Yeah, exactly. And it really worked out, but it worked out because we did things our way. Tom helped me out a lot with, talking about the business.
Because he was already signed at that point.
He was signed. He was in this band called Lockup, and he was like the best thing in the band. He's just amazing guitar player. And then he moved on to, Rage. And so Tool and Rage kind of came up at the same time. And then, Green Jellö and other bands that we knew, we kind of learned from their mistakes on what they did. And the one thing we learned was, if we took less money, we got more control. And the people signing us thought that was great. I signed this band for no money, but they can't make a move without us.
Right.
We have that artistic freedom. You have this passion about writing. You have this passion about recording. You don't worry about the outside world. You don't worry about how radio is going to take it or how the fans are going to take it. It's really that painting process I was talking about. Yeah. And then you start going. Once it's done, you go, okay, well, what's what's the song you think everyone's going to like or radio's going to like? So that's how we went, okay, well, we don't have a pop tune. So, but this one kind of seems the catchiest. Why don't we give this one to radio? So you start playing that out. But the thing about like touring is, we want to have a really cool show and put as much money into the show and have people walk away going, yeah, that was amazing. But you have to see how the record does. You have to, there's a budget, and so I think we can keep going as we've gone. But, I've heard of bands like, they write a record and they spend, millions of dollars on the record, and then they all buy their own tour buses, and then, they're planning it, and then the record doesn't do well. And it's
Famous
like
story, yeah.
Yeah, and we never want to do that. We just kind of want to take it as, take the temperature of everything and just kind of keep it safe. So, but, as far as ideas, yeah, it's epic.
Yeah.
How far to take it, we'll see.
What's your favorite song on the record?
I like them all.
Yeah, of course.
And my son says that. Sometimes I go, who's your favorite teacher at play school? And he goes, I like all of them. And he's not getting that from me, and I just go, that's the right answer. Just see what you like about everything. Yeah, I like all the songs. There's a song called Tempest where I do a 4.5 minute solo in. And it was really a crazy song to write because it's 3 rounds of 7. It's 21.
Wow.
It's a riff in 21. And you got to remember our drummer, who's the best drummer in the world. We were recording and we had a few drummers come in, John from System and a couple others, and they all kind of said the same thing at some point. We play the track and they go, is that just one drumming? Like one, is that takes or like tracks level, like multi tracks? And they go, no, that's just Danny playing.
Jeez.
And they go, oh my God, he's just an alien. I mean, he's the only guy I know can just, do like 3 different polyrhythm beats at the same time, foot, hand, other hand, and, maybe you can do 4, maybe you can do 5 with his wang, I don't know, pushing it. Or Danny would be, when we jam riffs, I always tell a story when Justin and I bring the riffs in when we jam, and Danny will just start playing the most opposite polyrhythm kind of thing to it, to the point where I'll forget how to play the riff I wrote. And I have to go, Danny, please play simpler.
Quit overplaying.
Yeah, no. But that's the magic of Tool,
Sure.
It's just kind of... But anyway, the song I was talking about is, it's in 21.
What's it called again?
Tempest.
Tempest, yeah.
Yeah. And Maynard spelled it with a 7 because we have like all this 7 kind of weird stuff happening with the record, and
cool.
Just thought it was important. And a 7 beat, it's hearing people like, trying to play it, emulate it, or like what we do, or even headbang to it, it's just this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah.
Right. And having 3 rounds of that, so it's not an even number. So when you're trying to write over it, you just got to feel it.
Yeah.
So it was really cool. So, when I do leads, I don't, I grew up in the days of Michelangelo and all these just amazing guitar players. And I always kind of thought it's been done. And that's what I was saying about Tom, is Tom has that. He has that gimmick thing, but he just went down a different path with it and made it his own. It's incredible. And so I never had that. And I did so many scales in violin. And so I always just, like, you were talking about Andy Summers from The Police. It's just, what does the song need? And a lot of times my lead will be more like a vocal.
Oh, right.
It's treated like a vocal. Someone singing a vocal will kind of do the same thing, 3-4 times, and then add inflections on it. And I just found that part of the song to be really rewarding in that way. So I just hope people like it. The songs are long. We have we're putting out physical CDs that are like 80 minutes. I mean, all filled all the way. There's 7 songs. It's 80 minutes. It's so funny that I really get off on the trolling. Sometimes it hits me low, but most of the time I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you do, but it just like just that thing where there's a small percentage of your fans, small, who you can't You
hate
can't
everything.
make them happy. You cannot
They
make
hate
them
everything.
happy.
Yeah.
Buzz from the Melvins always goes, you could take a CD, put 50 songs on it, tape $100 bill, and give it away for free, and there'd be people complaining about it.
Remember
it's too long, or I have to pay taxes on this $100.
Remember when the U2 album was given away for free to everybody who had iTunes and people were complaining?
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's U2.
Yeah.
It's great.
Or just erase it, you know?
Yes, or just don't listen to it.